Is your head still spinning from the abortion of logic and destruction of the universe in the last part? And the fact that everything you've strived to do so far has been like a dream sequence only to wake up at the end and find that nothing of what you did really improved anything, and no matter what you do, the prince is still doomed in the future.
Well, put it this way. I feel very low in myself. I can't see much in the future. And I feel that any second something terrible is going to happen to me.
Well, put your mind at ease because I'm going to discuss the combat during this exciting intermission. As I said earlier, this is without a doubt the most interesting and exciting way to battle sand demons imaginable. They even developed a name for it, the freeform fighting system, which encourages the player to master all the different tricks available with a long list of moves in the hope that you'll develop your own style. I really enjoy the combat for this reason, but about an hour in, it becomes more imbalanced and broken than even the world economy for a few basic reasons. I'll try to very carefully explain it to you, and hopefully you'll be able to understand why this system awards idiocy instead of Korean combo hitting prowess. That is, assuming you aren't just skipping enemies. It's all related to the sand powers. As you travel through time puddles, these are automatically gifted. Two of them, the slow time and haste powers, reduce combat mechanics to the point where anyone with the intelligence of a goldfish can automatically win. It just screws with the game difficulty curve to such a degree that it only gets easier over time. Why would you add such an insanely destructive series of moves to the game for the price of 1 or 2 sandals, which you receive for defeating 1 or 2 enemies? I just don't understand the logic behind it, when there's such a vast array of thrilling techniques on offer, which involve hundreds of man-hours properly researching, theorizing, animating, and polishing, only to be used maybe once or even never.
I mean, you were out in a full-out sword battle with these guys. It wasn't just like hack slash and then they're out of your way.
Here's what really pisses me off. They're effective against every enemy in the game, including bosses. It's completely retarded to even consider allowing them to be used on those fights. I'll admit that you could use haste to your advantage in Sands of Time, but that consumes every last grain of the dagger, and more than likely won't even result in victories, so you have to combine your swordplay with sand powers to win. I have a few solutions to this dilemma, even though it's too late, but you're gonna sit here and listen to them. Okay, 1. Make bosses immune to the slow power effect. Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy surprisingly have a very similar ability called Force Speed in their games. You can use it against regular enemies, but advanced enemies and bosses? Forget it! They counter it with their own version, not to mention it's rank based, which brings me to point number 2. Why not have an upgrade system in Prince of Persia like in God of War? You could upgrade anything from sword damage to sand power effectiveness and you would have an incentive to find enemies. Instead, once you get your power, it's automatically at max rank, right? Well, that's true in Warrior Within, except for one which knocks down all enemies and is completely useless but gets upgraded a total of 3 times. I mean, what kind of clowns made that decision? But it turns out they finally added one in Forgotten Sands only to do away with the freeform fighting system completely in favor of a button masher, where, just like in Sands of Time, by the end of the game you can one-hit everything. 3. Increase the total health of enemies. That way, you'd have to carefully choose when to bring your powers into play, and that's what happens in Two Thrones. And 4. Make the prince move as slow as enemies do. I mean, that's just basic logic. The second major flaw with the combat is the AI. They just don't seem to react fairly fast. Sometimes they don't even move because of various bugs. Whenever you grab an enemy and then slice them, you can repeat the process without fear of harm, because the game lets you perform the animation like in Sands of Time where he collects sands to destroy enemies. Also returning for Sands of Time is the ability to vault off a wall into an opponent, instantly knocking them down. They just can't do anything about it. Their reaction times are just god awful.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
The final anomaly isn't such a kick in the pants, but it is annoying. Many of the weapons you happen to dual wield have a life leech attached to them, so whenever the prince attacks with the secondary weapon, he'll lose a portion of his life. Why would you add something like that? That just discourages the player from trying out the fantastic combos they've learnt, so you might as well just throw the weapon away.
I guess it's a farewell to arms.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say about the combat system. I understand that to fully enjoy it, you shouldn't have to use any of the cheap and nasty tricks to annihilate foes, and that's what annoys me. These things shouldn't exist or be as powerful as they are. Instead, I'm forced to play a game in a completely different manner to get the most out of it. That's just annoying. Also in this part, I just wanted to acknowledge another blood-boiling occurrence. There are no major puzzles in Warrior Within, at all. Everything is too simple to solve. One of the key things that you should always have in an action-adventure game is puzzles. For intrigue and gratification that your brain is still functioning. Every other game in the whole franchise has puzzles, but here, this is the hardest puzzle in the game and all you have to do is connect the dots. What a huge letdown. When replaying the game, you kinda wish they were there, even if you know the solution. I love doing the clockwork puzzle in Sands of Time and some of the mechanism moving with Farah and Two Thrones. It's just a lot of fun. I'll be the first to admit that the words hard and Prince of Persia don't exactly go together. But this is absurd. Why would you ruin such a cleverly designed fighting system and throw all of your puzzles out the window?
Why? What reasons could you have for doing that?
Reasons? None, really.
I don't think they'll ever get the combat right. It's just a shame that the sand powers and the slow AI had to ruin this, because otherwise it would have easily been the most inventive and exhilarating sword fighting system in video games. Only if you get yourself in the right mentality will you truly be able to enjoy this one.